What's going on, everybody? We're out here in the wonderful winter weather. My truck's been turning over slow. I had a problem with the starter. I replaced the starter. It's still turning over slow. I had this problem about a year ago. It ended up being I cut off this factory connector like this on this side. This is a nice they call them like a military style. Those are good ones to pick up. I replaced that and it cranked way faster. It was like all better. And now here we are again. It's cranking slow again. So what I'm doing is it's called a voltage drop. I got Trent here. He's working the fluke meter there. And what you do is I check power. So a lot of times you can, like, you know, you put on ohms to measure the resistance in the wire, or you can check making sure you're getting, like, you know, the 12 point whatever volts at your starter. But a lot of times the wire doesn't actually have resistance until you're cranking on it and it's got a load on it. So what I did is I had Trent hold my leads on here, and we checked the voltage from the battery, and then I took this lead down to the starter, and I'm losing almost a volt between here and there, which is too much. These wires should have almost no resistance, and you shouldn't really lose hardly any voltage at all. So that's not even a very long run. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take out the factory cable. I'm not sure what size these factory cables are. I'll guess. So your wire sizes, if you don't know, they go usually your wire size is the smaller than the number, the bigger the wire. So like a 4 gauge is way bigger than like a 22 gauge. But then once you get down to 0, then they go bigger again. So there's like a 1/0, a 2/0, 3/0. The bigger the number, the bigger the wire once you get to that point. So I think the factory is probably maybe like a 1/0, something like that. I went ahead and picked up a 3/0 to run to my starter. It might be a little bit overkill, but it definitely won't hurt anything. So we're gonna make up a cable and swap it out. And also I got all new battery terminal ends and everything. I'm not sure, we don't have a whole lot of daylight. I'm just gonna do the starter one for right now, and then maybe we'll do other stuff here in a little bit. All right, so we got our monster 3/0 cable here. I got an end for it. It's got a 3/8 hole at the end. And the way I like to do these, instead of getting some big monster crimper and crimping them, I like to do this better. I think it's easier, and I kind of feel like it has a better connection too. So what I like to do is I get this nice and hot, and I fill it with solder. So you just hold this on here. Once it gets hot enough, we'll start melting this, and you just keep feeding it in until it's full. This might be a little bit easier with 2 hands, so I'm gonna have Trent put the camera down and give me a hand here, but we're gonna fill this up, and then we're just gonna take this and dip it in there and hold it for maybe like 30 seconds, and it should be good. You don't have to go all the way to the top, because copper takes up a lot of room, but you want it fairly full. It's probably pretty good. Be careful, you don't want to have any of these strands going on the outside of it. Get back off there. Turn that knob, shut it off. This is still boiling, so it stays hot for a little bit. It'll cool down pretty quick once this copper touches it. So you just hold that in there. We got the copper pretty hot, so it might take, you might want to give it like a minute, or I'm sure 30 seconds is probably good. It's actually good right now. So there we go. I had a bunch spill out. I might actually go and kind of feed some in the side here, make sure it's all the way full. This takes a lot longer. You gotta heat up all that cable that's in there now. There it goes. You saw it broke loose. So now we'll just make sure we got it filled up. There we go. Now it's going. I probably could have filled it up a little more, I guess. I didn't realize I had it so low. I don't usually do. I've actually never done a 3/0 before. This is pretty big. Most of your gas cars, they got like maybe like a 2 gauge or a 4 gauge starter wire. These trucks use pretty big stuff. All right, let's get a champ. Don't burn my finger. So we'll just keep that centered in there and let that cool. It's filled to the brim now, so you got basically a solid connection in there now. You got liquid filling every gap that's inside of there. So when this cools down, you're gonna have, you know, every string of wire is gonna be touching this copper. You're gonna have a really good connection. So it's cooled down now. Well, it's cooled down to where the solder dried, but I don't think I touched it yet. So we'll just let it cool down a little more before we actually carry it out there and work with it. There is one good thing about the snow out here, and you can use it to cool down your cables a little bit so you can actually touch them, work with them. All right, that's cool. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave the factory wire on there, because here's why. This is an AC Delco battery, and it's got the top post on it, but it also has the side post here. You can see that, like a GM has, and I'm not actually using the side post, so I'll probably have like the factory wire on top, and then I'll take this big monster one and put it on the side, and I'll have like 2 cables going to it, which is definitely, I mean, this 3/0's definitely big enough, but instead of trying to get it out of the clamps and getting all dirty and oily down there, I'm just going to leave it on there, and I'll just add another one to it. You know, the more the merrier. So we'll go ahead and get this on the starter. We'll get an idea how long it needs to be. We'll cut it, put another end on it, and then we'll install it, and we'll see if it helps any. I was going to go ahead, like I said, and replace this, maybe even add some extra ground wires, but let's do this first and see what happens there. Okay, so I got the cable ran where I want to run it. Now I just got to mark the length of it. It's going to be going right here. Get this tape out of the way. Get out of here. It's going to be going right here. So don't let that touch anything. So we'll probably cut it maybe like right there, probably good. Yeah, looks good to me. So I'm gonna go underneath and pull it off the starter stud, cut it, put the other end on it, and then we'll see what we got. This cable's pretty monstrous. Usually I just use like a pair of dikes or something to cut it, but being how big this is, we're just gonna hit it with a chop saw. Try to keep it nice and straight. Alrighty. And then I just use the razor blade to cut off, you know, I cut off maybe an inch of the end of it. And we'll dip it in here and we'll have us a cable. So this one, when I cut it, the strands were kind of like flared out and it didn't want to slide in real easy, so I went ahead and got them all in there first. I just picked it up a little bit. We'll fill this full and then we'll just put it down flush here in a second. So what happened was my alternator actually went out. I didn't even realize it at first because my batteries stay charged so well. And I tried starting it when my batteries were low. And when you have low voltage, it actually makes your amps go up. And the more amps you try to put through your cable, it can heat it up and kind of increase the resistance of it. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Thing's thirsty. I think we're almost there. Yeah, it's full. All right, let me go ahead and dip this down in there. All right, Trent, quit. Let this cool off. Just gonna see if he can burn himself. The solder actually does cool down pretty fast, but once you heat up all this copper like this, that takes a little longer. Okay, so solder's dry. We'll go ahead and roll it in the snow out here. Now I did mark the side of it. See that little line there? I indexed it the way I wanted to because this cable's so thick, it's kind of hard to, you don't want it all like twisted up and stuff, so I made sure that it was facing the right direction. So just kind of bury this thing a little bit. Yeah, that's good. All right, cool. Go ahead and toss this in and then we'll see what we got. Okay, so here's my factory starter cable right here. Then I got the big one down here on the side post right there, if you can see that. So we're gonna see if this thing cranks over any better. Now I got the solenoid unplugged. I don't actually want it to start. I'm just trying to see how fast it cranks over. Pretty sure that's better. I kind of actually wish it was a little faster. So I am gonna go ahead and replace. I bought a set of positive and negative, so I got actually a brand new positive, even though this one's probably pretty good. But I want to replace some of these other ones too. So I know that cable we just replaced is good, obviously. I'm gonna go ahead and check. I'm gonna put one lead on this positive battery. I'm gonna make sure, I got my fan shroud broke, so I'll make sure I don't get my wires in my fan. I'm gonna put one over here on this positive, which is 0.1 volts, which is, it should be 0. But I'm gonna do it while it's cranking too. There shouldn't be any difference between these 2 points, right? Because this cable should be, you know, really have no resistance on it. So Trent is going to monitor that while I crank it over.
0.1.
We were losing a volt on the big one to the starter. This one checks out pretty good, this cable here. Yeah, so that battery is getting actually drawn down more than this one, which is weird because the starter cable is drawing this one. So what that tells me is this ground, if it's pulling more juice out of that battery, this ground probably isn't doing quite as well as that one. So maybe do that next. So here's what I bought off of Amazon. It's these military style connectors. This one's negative, this one's positive. Then you'll have these cables come out the back of it like that, and it's got these nice ends that go on top of it. So this one I'll probably go ahead and just put the newer one on there, even though it's probably fine. And then this one here, I'll cut this off, and then we'll put that same style copper end on there, and that will bolt on much like that is. And this truck and my other truck, it's this one that does it first usually, but you cut this off and you replace this terminal and it starts like way better. So I did the ground, or the power side. I think it's time to do the ground now. I had to finish it up in the dark, but I've had a battery on a charger, and I didn't cut the original ground cables. I just added an additional ground to the side post, to the engine block. So should start pretty fast now. It's got full batteries and it's got all these extra wires, new starter. So let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, way faster. Did you guys hear that? It was definitely the ground cable, because it's a lot better now. Let's do it again. See how fast that is? It wasn't like that just a little while ago. So yeah, that's the terminals do go bad on those. You gotta either put a new cable on, or usually if you just cut the end off the old cable and just like solder a new end on it, use those military style terminals to bolt the ends on with. Usually that works out pretty good. So my truck's all better. I'm super happy. Okay, so that first start was a cold start. It's about 30 degrees out here right now, and it had been sitting for a little while I was working on everything. I went and I drove the truck now, and now it's warmed up. I want to show you how fast this thing starts now. I've never seen a Cummins starter to turn over this quick. All these extra cables, man, they make a difference. So I set you guys down. Check this out. Here, I'm gonna actually I'm gonna unplug my my solenoid on my injection pump so it won't start, so you can hear how fast it cranks over. All right, check this out. It sounds like a damn machine gun going off or something. That's ridiculous. Well, I'm pretty happy with my work. This thing shouldn't have no problems turning over anymore. So thanks for watching, and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff, and I'll catch you guys next time.